Time to keep it, time to keep it, time to keep it. It's the big keep it. Come and keep it with the big keep it.
Hello everyone, Artistry and Finesse with you. Monday night, episode 3 of The Bachelor in the books. And Finesse, the question I want to start out with tonight is, what is actually more pervert? Is it the gays, as Juan Pablo would have us believe? Is it Juan Pablo, or is it Charlene?
Let me tell you what I think is the most pervert. What's perverted to me is the process. And in week 3, it's really when the process becomes another character in the show. You have Juan Pablo, we know about Juan Pablo. You have the ladies, we know about the ladies. But underneath it all is the process. And we saw tonight that really what's causing a lot of the perversion on the show, a lot of the discomfort that people feel, a lot of the problems that people at home feel when they watch the show, is the process itself.
Now, what is perverted about the process in your view?
Well, you see the process. You see how the process plays out.
Oh, I see the process.
You saw it with Elise tonight. You saw it with Charlene. You saw it with Claire. The process is what got to them. And the process is you go on a date with somebody and then you don't see that person for 10 days, except for when you see that person making out with other people.
You're saying the process broke them down.
I'm saying that week 3 is when the process starts to break people down, and those people were broken down by the process.
Well, I mean, you just have to know, you don't go to The Bachelor at the end of episode 3. The trap you fall into when you have the fairy tale first date in like episode 2, the trap you fall into is you go to The Bachelor at the end of episode 3 and you say to him, I'm sad, this process is hard for me. You have to know at that point that you say, I know that we've built a solid foundation for our entire relationship with those 2 hours in the magical snow kingdom. Those are your lines. You got to hit your marks. If you don't hit it, I guarantee you that doubt is creeping into Juan Pablo's mind, and he's thinking, do I really have feelings for Claire, or was it the hot tub and the bikini and the snow falling and the band playing? That's what's going to happen. It's textbook.
Claire's problem is that she thought every week was going to be a snow globe week. Right. She probably thought at the pool party that there was going to be snow falling, and that she would. And this is what I'm saying. This is the critical point. And
everything is an intoxicating snow kingdom.
This is the critical point, and you can't get this on other podcasts. You just can't get this on other podcasts. What happens between week 3 and week 6? It's like the mid-season. It's the dog days of summer, right? It's from Memorial Day through Labor Day in a baseball season. You gotta get through the grind. You cannot let the process get to you. You gotta battle through adversity. You gotta battle through injury. Like Charlene gets the soccer ball kicked in her face, and she goes down to the ground. You gotta get up,
And she did. To her credit, she did.
She was like Roethlisberger, like limping around looking for attention. I didn't like her in that respect.
But he didn't pick up on that. He hasn't picked up on that yet. He hasn't been exposed to her enough. That will become transparent as weeks go on. But right now, she's pulling it off. She's carrying it off. And we can see what's coming down the road. That's, I think, what we bring. We see every twist and turn we see around the bend of this journey. And we see that eventually that kind of Roethlisbergian melodrama will be her downfall. But not today, Finesse, not today.
Well, there's a lot of fat that needs to be cut before you get to that. It's like, you're throwing out the Matt Schaubs and the Blaine Gabberts of the world. And then, you start creeping into, now you're in top 12, top 10, top 8 category. Now you start nipping the Charlenes and the Roethlisbergers in the butt. You know what I'm saying.
You're exactly right. I mean, we're still in week 3. We're not at a stage right now where there's anything really at stake. Like the people going home are people we don't even know. We don't know their names. We know the free spirit went home, but the other ladies that went home, we don't know them. So these ladies are buying themselves some time, just staying in the game right now. I think week 4 is when you really hit the grind, as you say.
Well, you say that we don't know them. I think what you mean is that the people listening don't know them. You and I know them.
Of course, we know the ins and outs of all these people's privacies.
Let's take it from the top. Let's go back to the beginning of the episode. Let's knock it out sort of one by one. We'll move swiftly through this. I think we opened tonight. What we saw was first date card for Cassandra. But I want to go back even before that. You saw Juan Pablo. You saw a little bit of a scene with Camilla Valentina. And he has some food on a fork. They're in a grassy patch, a grassy area. There's older people with them. Maybe they're Juan Pablo's parents. I couldn't tell. And Juan Pablo's trying to get Camilla Valentina to eat the food on the fork, and she wouldn't eat it. And my takeaway from that was that little Ricky would have eaten the food on the fork. And Camilla Valentina doesn't eat the food on the fork. And I feel bad for these women who are vying to be Camilla Valentina's stepmother, that they don't know sort of what a handful Camilla Valentina is going to be when they become her mother.
Now, just a second. Let's just put this to rest right here and right now. I don't want to spend another minute on this until you and I clear the air. I'm going to tell you right now, as a father, okay, as a father of 2 young children, that little girl, Camila, does not need a stepmother. That's not what she needs. You mean to tell me that Juan Pablo has full custody? Do you think he even has half custody?
Let me tell you what I know.
Right now. I'm going to tell you.
Go ahead.
I want to tell you something right now. Juan Pablo's lucky if he has weekend visitation. What that girl needs is a buddy who's going to do her hair and, go shopping with her and talk to her about her boyfriends. She doesn't need a stepmom. She's got a mother. Mark my words.
See, I thought you were going in a different direction with this. And by the way, I've seen her mother, and her mother would hands down win this show without any question. Very nice looking mother. Yeah. I thought what you were going to say is that if you have a father, why do you need a stepmother? And I would have respected you a lot if that's the kind of the angle that you were coming from. But I don't know where you get off saying that these women wouldn't be a better mother to Camilla Valentina than Camilla Valentina's actual mother.
Where do I get off saying that? I deal in reality, okay? I'm not in the Snow Kingdom. I am here doing this podcast.
Well,
I want to tell you, you wait a second. What I want to tell you, I deal in reality. I know she's got a mother, and I know, more importantly, she's got a father. And the stepmother is a distant third, my friend, a distant third.
Well, we can agree on that. We can agree, and I think what we should do is try to find areas of agreement. We can agree that if you have a father, you don't need the stepmother. You got the father. That's the thing that you need. I mean, what was Emily looking for little Ricky? She wasn't looking for a stepmother for little Ricky. She was looking for a father for little Ricky.
Big difference.
Huge difference. So anyway, let's get into the dates. Start with Cassandra. Now, the word on Cassandra, and I don't like spoilers outside of the show, but we know she has a child. Do you know who the father of the child is?
Is it an NBA player?
Yeah, it's Rodney Stuckey.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I thought you were joking about that.
No, I think he's a guard on the Pistons. Last I knew, he was on the Pistons. I don't know if he's still on the Pistons.
Wow, that's pretty pervert.
But do you think? I mean, what I envision is I sort of think forward with these things, and I like to think that they all have a fairy tale ending. And if he was to have the fairy tale ending with Cassandra, I picture sort of that custody visitation situation when Rodney Stuckey comes over to Juan Pablo's house to pick up little Trey, Cassandra's baby. And it's a beautiful thing. I think there's
a lot of respect there between Rodney Stuckey and Juan Pablo.
Who would have it better than Trey, having 2 fathers in that situation? I'm jealous of Trey. I grew up with 1 father. You only have 1 father. Little Trey could have two fathers.
I think that that's an area of agreement. I think we can also agree that to have a ride in an amphibious Jeep your first date, that's a pretty strong move there by Juan Pablo.
Yeah,
have we ever seen that before? Have we ever seen that kind of vehicle on this show?
I haven't seen that, and that's.
We've seen land, we've seen air, we've seen sea. Have we ever seen land, sea?
We have seen air and sea because we have seen those planes that land on the water.
We've seen a water plane.
We have
a seaplane.
Well, what we haven't seen yet is a flying car.
That's next.
But it's week 3, so who knows what's happening.
Plenty of time.
I don't watch scenes from the next episodes, so I don't know. Maybe that's coming up.
I know. Don't you think we could work a little bit on the date card? Can we do a little bit better than Love is a Wild Ride at this point? What are we in season 16 now or something?
Yeah, we could. We tackled this in a chapter of our Bachelor book, the date card, its importance, and sort of all of the hand wringing that goes on and interpreting what the date card means. And
why not just say love is an amphibious Jeep? That would make me think a lot more.
What about this
the
one?
Nature of love.
How about this one for that? How about 1 if by land, 2 if by sea?
Even better. See, they could use some help in this department. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we know that we're available.
Now, I think it was important that we started out that way because, as Cassandra stated, she got to see Juan Pablo in his element, which is naturally, his natural element is an amphibious Jeep riding in the ocean. So that was important for all of us because I don't think we knew that.
Well, I don't think Juan Pablo knew that because the next date, the group date, he talks about how his natural element is on the soccer field.
Maybe he's just one of those people that's really comfortable in his own skin, and he can be in any number of environments.
He has no unnatural element.
There was a lot of whispering from Juan Pablo tonight. Sensuous whispers. That's how I determine, that I think a lot about you. They're not only whispering, but there are a lot of non sequiturs. They'll say like, I think so much about you, and we are here for a reason. That said, will you accept this Ross? One thing has nothing to do with another, but yet it all flows so elegantly.
Let me tell you where he has an unnatural advantage over other guys. When he's dealing with American women, here's where his accent really, really comes into play. He can do this thing where he sits down some random girl who needs reassurance, and he can give that girl reassurance by saying something like, you have and I don't know what it is. And they look at that as if they have some intangible quality.
What positive reinforcement?
That other women don't have. And really what he's saying, if you saw this on like a transcript from a court reporter, he would be saying, I don't know what you have.
Right.
And that's how I take it to mean. But because of the accent, it sounds romantic.
Right. He'd be saying, I can't compliment you. I don't know what to say.
I don't know why you're here. I don't, in fact, even know what your name is.
I'm hopeful that you have positive attributes. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, somebody must have seen them to get you on this show.
Yeah, he's very, very good at that. I agree with you.
Yeah, well, that's the accent, and it's an unnatural advantage. And where he tried to get an advantage, and I want you to pay attention to the segue I'm making, he also tried to use to his advantage the soccer uniform.
Mm.
We've had former athletes on this show, and we've seen them in their old uniforms. And I got to say it, and I mean no disrespect to Juan Pablo, it's no Roberto in a baseball uniform.
That's one of those things that just goes without saying. I agree 100%, and I think Juan Pablo would agree.
I think
All
the
respect
ladies
to
would
Roberto.
agree. I think the ladies would agree that, you're stranded on a desert island. You got Roberto in his baseball uniform, and you got Juan Pablo in a soccer uniform. I think it's a unanimous decision where everyone goes with that.
The soccer game made me think that this is another Bachelor staple, and we've covered this. It's the comfort zone test, the date where you do whatever you can to get the women out of their comfort zone. Did you ever think about what it would be like if we went on a date? Like, what if my first date with Mrs. Artistry, I was just like, I'm gonna put her in the most uncomfortable situation. I got to test her out.
Right.
Let's get her on the ice. Let's get her doing a scrimmage, against other women. Let's throw an elbow at her.
Right.
Let's really test her mettle. I mean, that just doesn't. It's something that really accelerates the courtship, I think.
Yeah, like Mrs. Artistry, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play 5-on-5, scrimmage on the ice. It's going to be you and the last 9 girls I've dated. And
Right.
But don't worry, I'm going to be reffing. I won't let anything get out of control. We're just going to flip the nets down. You got to shoot it on the top of the net.
Yeah, not all of them are happy with you, but just go out there and do the best you can.
Yeah, look, afterwards we're gonna be at the nacho stand making out. We're gonna be on the midfield on a picnic blanket making out. Like, don't worry. What you need to do is just let your true colors shine through during this hockey game.
Right. It's quite an aphrodisiac, apparently. It seems to work.
Of course, what's commonplace after the group date competition activity is sort of the vying for time with the Bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
We know that's a real crucial component. And Andy brought this up. Andy, the lawyer from Miami, brought up the point, and I want to give her credit for making the point, though I will point out she's not the first person to ever say this. She said that one-on-one time is crucial. Before what I'm about to say, that was seen as sort of the conventional wisdom on the show.
Right.
I want to challenge that.
Go ahead. I'd like to hear what you have to say. This is a landmark moment.
Do you think that one-on-one time is overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
I'm going to go with properly rated, Finesse. And the reason for that, I think, is obvious. One-on-one time is what you make of it. Don't blow your one-on-one time. I mean, that could sink you. At the same time, if your one-on-one time reinforces an already blossoming relationship, then naturally, one-on-one time would have to be considered critical. What about you?
But for Andy, she got the rose. She's been on 2 group dates. And then you see someone like a Danielle get a rose. And I don't think she had one-on-one time. I don't even think that she was on camera the entire episode. So I think what you could do is you could go through and look at one-on-one time, and you could say that for some people, they're better off not having any one-on-one time. In fact, the absence of the one-on-one time is what's crucial, because the one-on-one time shows what you are as a person, and maybe you don't get the rose because of the one-on-one time.
I think maybe the fallacy here is that you are not considering that Juan Pablo contains multitudes, and one-on-one time is not measurable necessarily. You don't know. What you're trying to propose is that what Juan Pablo decides is somehow knowable. It's not knowable. It's unknowable. You don't know what Juan Pablo... you don't know what his agenda is. I think it's the height of hubris to say that you can measure Juan Pablo's reaction by what happens in one-on-one time.
Well, that's exactly my point. Maybe it's not crucial. We don't know, is what I'm saying.
It's unknowable. I'll grant you that.
Everyone goes around saying, oh, I need the one-on-one time. One-on-one time is crucial. What if it's not?
They don't know.
That's all.
They really don't know.
That's all I'm saying. It's like defense wins championships. But what if it doesn't? What if you don't have a good defense and you win the championship? You know?
It's a given until it's not. I agree with you. One thing that is an exception to the unknowable rule, one thing we always know is if you were bungee jumping upside down from a bridge in episode 3, that's crucial. That is crucial. Because if you take that step off that ledge and you're dangling upside down over a ravine with the Bachelor and you kiss, that's a bond that will carry you. I'm going to say it right now. That bond is carrying Chelsea to hometown.
I think it's a ticket to episode 6. I don't think it's a ticket to hometowns necessarily. I agree with you that there are a lot of parallels between jumping off the bridge and entering a relationship with somebody. I think that's been spelled out very clearly over the course of 16 different seasons of The Bachelor.
Yeah, do I need to take you back to Vienna in season 12 or whatever it was with the bungee jump?
Yes. Take us back.
Do I need to do that? Vienna, who was a real dark horse candidate, when she went off the bungee jump with Brad, that really solidified her as a front runner. And I don't think that people understood that it was happening as it was happening. But sure enough, that carried her all the way to the championship, ultimately, Vienna. And she was one of the less appealing people, I think, ever to progress that far on the show. Just by virtue of the bungee jump, she was in it.
Well, she may have been really the at the forefront of what is now, I think, commonly accepted, which is that a leap off a bridge is similar to the leap of faith that you have to take in any relationship.
She was the foremother. Is that a word? The foremother?
Yeah, godmother maybe. I don't know. Something like that.
I think that's right. But I also think it so happens, this wasn't an accident that this was Chelsea. Like I said, mark my words, Juan Pablo's not looking for a Renee who's mothering everybody. And I mean everybody Renee is mothering. He's looking for somebody who is going to be, a good time girl. It'll be a buddy to Camila. And that's why Chelsea and Cassandra have jumped to the top of the charts this week.
I think you're wrong on Cassandra. Chelsea, I could see getting a few more weeks. I just don't think you're right on Cassandra.
She loves life, Chelsea.
Well, had you said that earlier, it might have been more convincing. Because how could you not pick someone who loves life?
She really loves life.
I feel like Charlene would be like, life's okay. Or more in her voice, like, life is okay. Like, she's got the weirdest voice, man.
She's an unappealing lady. Now, I don't want to blow anything for you. I tried not to watch the previews for next week. I turned them off pretty quickly. But let me just throw this out there. Charlene may or may not sing opera next week.
Well, she has to. She's an opera singer. I mean, that's
eventually she does.
That's like Juan Pablo not playing soccer.
Right. So the question is Juan Pablo going to react to that by, saying it's so beautiful, so sensual, so sexy, I want you here? Or is that going to be her ticket home? I think it might be the latter.
Just because of the opera? Well, I don't know in what context, and honestly, I would have appreciated a spoiler alert.
I told you, I'm not sure if it happens. I suspect it happened. This is all speculation at this point.
Well, that's the first thing on this podcast so far that's been speculation. Everything else is fact.
Everything else is fact. We don't claim to be able to know for a fact that somebody's going to sing opera from week to week, but we're speculating.
What did you make of the Juan Pablo decision to forego the cocktail party in lieu of the pool party?
It shows some burgeoning confidence. I think in week 2, Juan Pablo doesn't have the stability, the confidence to make that call. I think week 3, we see him coming out of his shell. We see him not necessarily more pervert, but just more confident.
Yeah, it's a move. It's a move that you kind of have to build up some capital to make. I mean, I don't think you go in there on the first night and go up to Chris Harrison and say, "Chris, I'm canceling the cocktail party. We're jumping in the pool."
Right. You have to build up some goodwill. You have to show some leadership.
Yeah, and he's done that. I mean, he's done that. I think he has some ladies smitten for him. I still feel like I know nothing about Juan Pablo, and I really can't figure out why he's doing this. But otherwise, I wish him the best. I hope he finds a stepmother for Camilla Valentina. That's what he's looking for. That women have made it clear that he is looking for a stepmother. They are trying to be step-parents to Camilla Valentina, and one of the best ways to do that is to rest the top of your augmented bosom on top of Juan Pablo's head at the pool party. Like any good mother.
I just want to reiterate, though, and I think, you and I have a difference of opinion about this, and it may really crystallize in the weeks to come. I think Juan Pablo is looking for a lady who looks good in her pajama, just like Camilla looks good in the pajama. He said, Claire, she's someone who looks good in the pajama. And I think that's what it may come down to ultimately.
Well, that's what I think that, usually like week 4, week 5, they do the group date where they split into 2 teams and only the winning team gets the one-on-one time afterwards. Right. Now, as we've discussed earlier in the podcast, that one-on-one time may or may not be overrated. But that's where maybe the contest is the Put on Your Pajama contest.
Yeah.
Maybe what they do is they pass Camilla Valentina down a line, and each person takes a shot. Put on your pajama. Like it's right. They pretend it's bedtime, and who could get
one person may have a leg of the pajama, the other person has a leg of the pajama, an arm of the pajama, an arm of the pajama. Somebody might have to zip the pajama. Could be a team effort. Could be a team building exercise.
Now, is this a one-piece pajama that goes head to with footsies and everything, or are we talking about a 2-piece kind of flannel situation?
It depends on the child. I can tell you this as a father. Little artistry no longer has an interest in the pajamas with feet in the zipper. He likes a little bit more freedom of motion, a little more range of motion. And really artistrette, too, has never favored the pajamas with feet. Maybe Camilla does. To each her own pajama. That's all I can tell you.
Right. We have to be respectful of cultural differences between the pajama.
Right. I don't claim to know what Juan Pablo's heritage is with respect to pajama. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week for episode 4, The Big Kid.
Time to keep it, time to keep it, time to keep it. It's the big kibitz. Come and kibitz with the big kibitz. Ooh, big kibitz. Big. It's the big kibitz. Come and kibitz with the big kibitz.